Welcome to our extremely uncivilized podcast, Smut. We just had a really amazing shake out, get all the wiggles out, and you're gonna get a preview. But anyways, this is Smut, Stars, Magic, and Underworld Talk with your girl, Emily Iris, and your other queen, Kellyanne, the Compassion Creatrix. We're here. And we're in the thick of it. Because Kellyanne is moving week. Okay. And we know what that's like.
We're in the thick of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just feeling Libra season. My ground is whoosh.
The Libra lunacy.
Yeah, of course. And it makes sense because we did literally plan to do the second half of the Decans as archetypes today, and it starts with Libra. So imagine that. We're feeling a little airy-fairy today.
Airy-fairy, arty-farty, all the things.
Arty-farty is... But first, let's talk about the manifesting that is happening, because the next thing that we got coming up is our October 7th full moon in Aries too. So full moon, a time that is reflecting what's going on behind the scenes, inside of us, what's coming up in our world. And that second decan of Aries, we talked about this last week. I'm like, what's the one I came up with for the second decan? It's not Evil Knievel, it's Braveheart, the athlete, the authenticity commander. But it also translates to the Three of Wands. So Kellyanne's going to take it away here, and we're going to dig in. What does he say?
Yeah. We've got the Three of Wands here, which says, I definitely better pee before this trip. There we go. And we've got one wand behind, one wand next to, and the other uncertain also behind, ahead of, next to, not sure as far as placement is concerned. And I like to, when I interpret cards, I like to look at positioning of things. I like to look at things' relationship to each other. And it seems like this person is very covered up and about to take a trip, doesn't have a bag, but is worried about peeing beforehand. So has like a little bit of an eye on preparation, but not that much. Kind of seems like they're going to be relying on the compassion of others throughout that trip to for people to take care of them. The three I associate with harmony. So we were talking about, I think we talked about two last time, where it's like ace is you're looking at all the potential. Two is like you've made your decision, you're you've got it within you to focus on your goal. And three's where you're beginning that trip, you're beginning that journey, and everything is still harmonious. All the birds are singing, and you still have, if you packed a bag, you would have all of your snacks still ready to go. Like, that's the part of the journey where it's kind of good feels. It's kind of just good feels. And I think that's a part of if we tune into the authenticity commander, I think that's the part that you feel camaraderie with the people that you are going along on the journey with. So now in the full moon, it's time to connect with your people and feel that camaraderie. You can't feel compassion without witnessing others. So go and be a witness. Go and surround yourself with all the people who witness you. And I wouldn't even say that I don't get the sense that there's going to be like a hiccup to look out for in this time. It's more like this is a window of opportunity for you to go and cultivate the harmony that you would like to have in your life, especially with the fire energy. It's like, now is the time for your rituals and your spell casting to not just focus on what you don't want, because I think that's what we do a lot with spell casting and with our words. We are like, please, God, let there not be XYZ there present in that thing that I really, really want.
And
And
God
instead,
hears that thing.
and God hears that thing, that thing. Okay, let's go. They said it again. They keep saying that thing. And I know they get mad every time they see it, but they keep talking about it. I don't even know what that's about, but I'm going to give it to them. That's what they asked for. Yeah, there are a lot of folks in the spiritual and manifestation community who believe that the universe and God doesn't hear the word not, doesn't hear that negation. They just hear exactly what you said. So pay attention to and focus on the things that you do want. Maybe frame the suffering within yourself. If we talk about self-compassion, frame the suffering within yourself in a different light so that you can address that suffering and relieve that suffering from a positive place, as opposed to like just another part of the drudgery, like I gotta get out of this because I'm in my head and I can't get any work done. Well, instead of trying to be more productive, focus on connecting with people. Focus on just feeling better for the sake of feeling better again. Focus on harmonizing with the people who see you in your best light instead of harmonizing with the people who are only paying attention to your suffering. There's a difference between people who pay attention to your suffering and are there to hold you and help you alleviate. And there are people who are going to witness your suffering and want to dig into it and want to ground you there. So figure out which people you actually want to be around and go and harmonize with them. I feel like this is a great time for that.
Yeah. It's really perfect that Three of Wands it's called Voyager Tarot. Yeah. Is compassion, because what I see coming up during the full moon is that we might be seeing where we still have some self-destruction. So the antidote and like what we can be thinking about leading up to that full moon, my ears ringing, is self-compassion. Like, how can I be even kinder to myself? How can I trust myself even more? How can I lean in even more to the softness of compassion for myself and for others? Like, if you're if you're shooting yourself up with compassion, it's gonna leak out on other people. It's a wackadoodle metaphor, but that's what's coming out today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like and I didn't circle back to the wand that's behind, but yeah, there are going to be, spiritual journeys that you've taken in the past and spiritual hiccups that you've taken in the past that might be still haunting you in some way, or might, be around as an option for taking that sort of stick to lean on. And if you think of like taking your lessons from the past to help you in the future, you kind of don't want to be crippled. You don't want it to feel like I'm leaning on this so hard that I can't move forward, and my journey is hindered because of this thing from the past, or this version of my suffering that I just don't actually resonate with anymore. But
Yeah.
patterns persist for a while in the spiral. We can't help but to come back to things, but pay less attention to them. That I feel like I've been getting the pay less attention to it message for like a couple of weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the tightening of the upward spiral. I feel like I usually see the upward spiral really wide, like a tornado, like widening as you go up. And now I feel like we're kind of doing a tapering where we're like we're leaving some of those experiences behind actually, and we're starting to kind of
Yeah.
get back to this sort of tight tower of like boundaried, protected, only certain people know the secret password to enter the tower type shit.
Mm, it's yummy. It's reminding me of something I was researching a couple of weeks ago because I was like, dang, I am full of rage.
Dang it,
Anyone
if
else
I'm not
relate?
just full of rage.
Yeah, and like I am a genuinely happy and warm and light feminine person, and yet like I look around sometimes and I'm like, "Rah! I want to burn everything down." And so I was like, how the fuck do I work with this? And I was listening to Ram Dass, and he's like, just let it go. And I'm like, I'm a woman. This isn't resonating. And then I was like, okay, indigenous practices for working with rage, like someone who actually fucking gets it. What do we got? And I learned that in Inuit culture, when someone's like real pissed off in the community, they would give them a stick. And they're instructed to just like walk out of the village for as long as it fucking takes for the volcanic explosive rage to turn into embers. And then you plant your stick and you go home. And that's like what I'm seeing in this card now. Like, I got this far with my rage. I planted my stick, and now I'm going to leave it. And I'm only taking this walking stick forward. Right? Isn't that fucking
Ugh,
profound?
yeah. And even just like what experiencing one rage after the next, like now at least you have a tool for respecting the rage and
Yeah.
traveling with it, taking it with you instead of feeling like I have to bottle it up. I have to pretend that there's not this giant rage stick up my ass making me waddle around wishing that I could be like loose and unguarded, and instead I just am pent up and I'm pissed all the time, and that's the only thing that I can focus on.
Right.
Shit.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is my favorite new tool that I've learned. And thank you to the blogger that directed me towards that. I'll link it in the show notes.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Working with rage and our big moon coming up October 7th. Self compassion. Turn it up. I have a cat alarm going off. I'm going to get
Wow.
her really quick. Yeah.
Wow.
Bellatrix, come and join us.
You gotta pay attention to your cat alarms because those are the kind that they're not just gonna turn themselves off, you know? Wow.
Look at that. Real life is happening.
Oh my gosh, it's your rage stick.
Right. Oh, and off she goes. Well, we tried.
Uh,
Anyways, manifesting complete, shall we?
we shall.
Let us.
Let's go.
All
My
right.
glasses back on.
Officially, the glasses are going on. We're shifting into our astrological decans as archetypes. If you missed this little intro part, we'll nutshell it for you. So, decans. The 12 zodiac signs are actually each split into 3, so there are 36 zodiac signs. You been duped. Each one has their own specific flavor. So we've gone through and I've given them like an energy name, and then Kellyanne has gone through and tell them what you did. Tell them what you did.
I took the archetypes that are expanded by Caroline Meese from Jungian archetypes and used the Sacred Archetypes deck and just went through and matched up these archetypes which are roles that we play in different areas of our lives, to these sort of energy groupings here. So the Decans, for me, has been a little bit topsy-turvy to figure out in my brain because it involves math of any kind. But once Emily sort of pieced them out and I was able to assign archetypes to them, now my brain is like, oh, Decan 2 for Libra is this. And that makes so much sense. So we're hoping that the Decan archetype crossover here and the mapping together will help y'all understand Decans and also come to appreciate them in your own right, because the goal is not to just say I'm a Pisces sun, Leo rising, Virgo moon, but to say I'm a Pisces Decan too, or and just know all of your Decans as well, because that gives us even more information.
Yeah, super sexy. Okay, that's our intro. If you want more information, go watch the first episode and you'll catch the first half of the zodiacs as well. But today, in Libra season, let's start on Libra. Couldn't have planned it better.
Let's start with Libra. Meant to be.
I don't know. Okay, so Libra Decan 1. We're coming right after Virgo. I'm calling this one the diplomatic charmer. This is like very sweet energy, super socially successful, good at social situations. Okay. That's the very beginning of Libra. They like order, they like charm. And when I was writing these out, I was like, ooh, it feels like uh with plus a little bit of an edge, like Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek. Like just so charming. You're like, did they just insult me? It still sounded really nice and eloquent, but like
That
just
sounded
charming.
really good.
Yeah, unburdened by education. Like, huh.
Yes. Yeah, and I love that you picked Moira Rose as the from the media representative for this archetype, because as there's overlap from the last decan of the sign that came before, the Decan 3 for Virgo is the Quicksilver Oracle, the gossip. And I think Moira Rose also takes a little kernel of that energy into the diplomatic charmer here. And the archetype that I picked for this one is the mediator. I think mediators have a really neutral spin to them. Like we always imagine almost like people who are going through a divorce, like you bring in a mediator to just be that quote unquote neutral third party. But I don't think mediators are without their own values, are without their own personality, are without their own sense of charisma, because as a mediator, you do have to uh, you have to be able to see all sides and also be able to connect with all sides and respect all sides of everything. And Libra is represented by the scales of justice tipping back and forth. So the mediator is a perfect representation of what happens if we were to turn the scale into like a 5D version where there are tons that are tipping all in different directions, and we have to kind of find whatever the in between. The mediator is going to stand in the middle of that and say, I'm not intimidated by how many scales are tipping and in what direction. I'm going to respect all of them and maybe even use some of that linguistic efficiency and very human charm to adapt myself and the message that could be neutral and could come out like a robot, but adapt the message to the person that I'm speaking to or to the situation that is needed, and very much finds some way to help bring everything together.
Yeah. I love that. Like that's so trippy to think of all of the scales, 5D scales, and touching too on the word like diplomacy. I think that in, our falling fascist America right now, we're like, diplomacy does not feel like a great word. But what it really is like what Kellyanne is saying, standing in a situation and being able to take stock of what's going on physically and metaphysically and with communication and understanding, and then working from that place of extreme presence. Like, okay, I see where you're at. I see where I'm at. I see what is needed. Here are the words. So, it doesn't necessarily mean like the stupid political speeches that we hear that are diplomatic because they're saying fucking nothing. This is saying something. It just knows the audience.
They're saying fucking nothing.
It's true.
Yeah. And this is also, that's to say, this is also the start of the fall season. And it's the start of the fall of a person's life. So this is like, the midpoint and beyond here. This is the point at which, like, when you are an adult, you learn to become diplomatic, as in, like, you have to work. You absolutely must. You can't pick and choose everybody that you work with, and everybody that influences and affects your future and your life. You can't control that. But what you can do is put on, your big girl pants and approach it with that sense of, I'm going to figure out what tips your scale so that I can so that I can still get to where I need to go and keep my scales balanced, okay? In order for us to play this like 5D chess, I do have to use my powers for human perception and charisma to adapt. I think the mediator is incredibly adaptable.
Oh yeah, the 5D D&D campaign that we are all in. We could all work on a little bit more of this. Honest diplomacy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Libra 2, honey. I think Libra 2 gets like sharper to me. And I feel the scales, but like in that Ma'at way. The ancient Kemet goddess of like, can you come in to the underworld, into the afterlife? We'll weigh your heart against a feather, and if it's too heavy, you're going back. So there's like a judgment energy here too. And I mean, it's also like kind of angelic. So I'm giving this one the harmonic hottie. This is my tagline for Libra 2. Beautiful, a little scary, and not just like creates harmony, but enforces
Harmony. Yeah. It's funny that the moonifesting reading that we just did for start of Libra season, or just for within Libra season, is about harmony, because when you are in the thick of it, you are going to find that that's the scales where it feels very like one side or the other becomes an orchestra. You can't help that you need 20 different kinds of instruments all playing at different levels and tempos in order for something to come together and be done beautifully. And I think Deacon 2 for me the archetype that I picked is the knight. And I don't mean like good night, I mean like knight in shining armor, knight with a K. The knight is a protector of harmony within the realm. And the knight is also going to have strict orders to live by, but also there's something romantic to the knight. There's some romanticization of the knight archetype, because we do also have like when they don't have to go to war and they don't have anybody to battle, they battle themselves, you know. They have competitions to see who's the best, but and that plays out as like entertainment for the masses. And the knight is somebody who can figure out the right time to go to battle, the right time to entertain, and sort of pick their battles. The knight picks their
Mm-hmm.
battles, also has a level of romanticism to harmony. I think the knight can maybe have a tendency to think too well of others. Whereas, if we compare it to the warrior archetype is going to think of everybody as like the lowest of the low. I'm going to strategize as though they are coming for me as hard as I'm coming for them. The
Yeah, I'm the
knight,
leader.
right. The knight is going to be like, well, let's try to meet them halfway before battle and see if we can talk it out. And if we can't, then we'll walk it back and then we'll charge. So the knight gives people chances, but not always chances that people deserve. So I would say, watch out for
Mm-hmm.
that, Deacon 2 Libras.
Totally. Yeah. And remembering too, like we're in this section of signs that are interpersonal. So this is kind of where conflict and justice and working with like the more difficult things with other humans is coming into play. And there's like one more thing about the night that is so spot on for me. And it's that like it's a position that is given to them and they probably weren't born into it. It's sort
Right.
of mid station if we're talking about like medieval archetypes, right? Like you become a knight and it's like super honorable and awesome and you get chosen and you have shiny armor, but you're not a duke and you're still
Right.
not like an urchin. So, you know, there's something
Yeah.
there. You can flow between all those places.
Right. There's a level of earning your position and earning respect, earning your reputation, and being knighted, as in like being seen and selected by other people to represent the best of us, right? Because that's what a knight
Yeah.
is. You're a representative of the best of us, the goodest of us. And also, some knights in shining armor are real dirty when they take off that armor. They got people in their bed waiting for them. And I don't mean person, I mean people.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Just look at all of the King Arthur tales and we'll get a good idea of what was really going on, Lancelot.
Right. Lance a lot. Lance a whole lot.
If you know what I mean. Cheers, our wine goblets.
Right.
Okay, Libra 2, you've been roasted.
Roasted over some mead.
Mm. It's Ren Fair season, folks. Okay, Libra 3. Let's get in. We got this. Libra 3, I am calling beautifully balanced. So in Libra three's like balanced vibes, it's like super famous, has figured out how to work all those 5D scales, and they're just attracting a lot of attention. It's kind of got like influencer energy if we bring that into our modern day archetypes. Oh, that just sent me off on a whole new bunny trail. What if we did modern day archetypes? Anyways, but I know it's so much.
that calculating meme.
Exactly. I'm like,
so much math is happening in front of my brain.
so much more work to do.
Right.
Yeah. And really, like, this beautiful balance, when it's holistic and when it's like spiritual, physical, emotional, mental, wonderful. When it is only two or one of those four scales, we have some messiness, and it's often like a smoke screen for the true self underneath. Libra 3.
And it's funny that we already picked Aang for something else, which now I'm like, is that right? Because the archetype that I picked for this particular decan is the monk archetype, the monk/nun archetype. And as we know, Aang came from a monastery. And I believe that with the beautiful balance, when we're looking for a role that exists out in the world that people occupy, that is beautifully balanced, I think of somebody whose primary aim is to invoke balance and to embody balance. And so that's why the monk/nun archetype really resonated for this, because monks are like out there away from everybody else, just connecting with that sort of spiritual everything is everything. Like, they're the ultimate mediators, and they're the ultimate knights, because they're attempting to represent the best of us and the goodness in us, which is a peacefulness with everything outside of us that is us. So monks are out there really creating the embodiment of balance in a way that helps us to appreciate the spiritual connection that we have to everything. There's an attunement quality to the third decan here that I think is sort of transcendent from the mediator and the knight, who are working toward balance with people, who are working toward balance with nations. And for monks, it's like balance with the whole world.
Yeah. It feels sort of like the Dalai Lama, now that we're talking about it, like, who is devoted to the spiritual path, but also really politically involved.
Yeah.
And there's
Love
an
that.
energy too, right? Yeah, there's an energy in Libra 3 of having a really big controversial opinion and being exiled for it. And when I think about monks and nuns and like what monasteries have traditionally done, like, those are safe havens for the exiled. Like, did you know that there used to be kind of a underground Catholic nun witch safe house thing going on? Like,
Yeah.
incroyable.
Yeah,
We love
protecting
it.
people from the imbalance that exists outside of the worlds that we create for ourselves. Yeah.
Libra 3.
Love you, Libra 3.
Yeah.
Roasted.
Steamed.
Lightly steamed. Still pretty al
Exactly.
dente.
Okay, I'm spelling that wrong, but there it is. All right. Scorpio, it's your turn. So, very first decan of Scorpio, I have the psychic hermit. I changed this one just a little. If you looked, it's different now. And yeah, it's really, really giving and bringing in some of that like monastery vibes.
Wait,
Like
which one did you have before? You had
I had
psychic,
CIA psychic.
CIA
Yeah,
psychic.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, can also count. If you think about like going to work for the CIA and you're like deeply undercover and stuff and you have to erase your identity, like there is kind of that, like, I'll give everything up to work with my gifts energy. And it made me think about Obi-Wan when I was tuning in with it, just like this
Yeah.
fucking weirdo that lives in a cave.
Right. And I was going to say, if TV and movies are anything to go by, CIA agents are often, operating underground. So
Yeah,
there's that hermitude right there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And it's funny. I was like, oh, that's
I
really,
just,
uh-huh. I wonder if what she's doing is we have a spreadsheet that's showing us all of these that of course, her Virgo rising was like, I should put this in a spreadsheet, right? And my Virgo moon was like, I love this. I'm going to color code your spreadsheet and I'm going to organize it even better. So yeah, we've got it used to be CIA psychic, for which I was like, I think the only archetype that I have in this deck that really matches with this is the hermit. And it's real
know
funny
it.
that you were like, you know what, actually, hermit was spot on. A two. So yeah, even when it was CIA psychic, I was like, there's a sense of being alone and in your own energy that can
Yes.
sometimes be the place where you find like your psychic attunement and you start to like I kind of see somebody who goes off into their, I wonder if Obi-Wan had one of these, where you go off into your lair and you have the red strings connecting to all things.
Yes.
And
So
Obi-Wan
Charlie
was like,
Day.
yeah, Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just trying to make sense of it all. But having this sort of intuitive quality that makes it make sense. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
we get that hermit archetype, that hermit role, where it's like, yeah, that person's going to go off and live in the woods because nobody understands the real truth of what they're saying. Having been abducted by aliens early on in life, they've just got this this sense of like, I know what's beyond this world, but I actually have to interpret it for this world, for the people who are
Mm-hmm.
hearing it. And that often results in a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of isolationism for these types of Scorpios. Decan 1 Scorpios are probably going to experience a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of isolationism, and a lot of psychic downloads that just feel so alien that it's like, I don't even know what to fucking do with this. What do I
Yeah.
even do with this? It's like somebody it's like God, the universe, gave me an envelope that said confidential on it. And now I'm
Right.
just supposed to keep this shit to myself? What the helly?
Yeah. Right. And I just want to underscore too that Scorpio 1 is white magic. Like it's light magic. It's light worker. There's really not much spooky about this Scorpio besides that they kind of keep to themselves. And that hermiting may be just energetic, like a really well boundaried person that maybe someone like me who's really like, how do I get in there? Is like, I can't find a way into this one. Wow.
Right. Like a really good detective who is going to be like, shining a flashlight on everything. That's how I see the light worker is like, I'm going to expose, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
expose, I'm going to expose. But like, I cannot expose myself
Right.
because that puts me in an unsafe position. That makes all that I am trying to expose unsafe now. Like I have, like finding ways to be exposed and vulnerable in safe ways and to the right people is like a real key here.
Yeah. Scorpio Deacon 1, honey. Okay, Scorpio Deacon 2. Now this one stands. This one stands in both archetype and media representation. And we're going to go Sean Connery era because let's not be stupid, but it's James
Please,
Bond.
please.
It's James Bond. They be
It's James
shape
Bond.
shifting. They're so mysterious that it's alluring to people. And like the sexual magnetism is really, really strong in this Scorpio. And as we can see in the James Bond archetype, it does get them into rebel sometimes.
Into Big
The,
Terrible in Little
yeah.
China.
Yeah, right. In Russia, China, in space. So the key, I think, for Scorpio too is like tempering your appetite because you are not going to stop being attractive and magnetic. And I know you're not mad to hear that either.
Literally, my partner is Scorpio almost completely across the board, like I think 4 or 5 Scorpio placements. I don't know how that's even possible. But hey, I gotta look at all of them because for each one of these deacons that go through, I'm like, check off that box, check off that box. Yeah, he's got a little bit of everything. I can't wait to go through his deacons. Now that I'm like really getting into the practice of being like, oh, they have different flavors, obviously. That's why we can't just like paint all Virgos with one coat, all Scorpios with one coat of paint,
Mm-hmm.
There are layers to it. For this one, for Deacon 2 Scorpio, for our James Bond, the archetype that I have chosen is the Destroyer. Now, the Destroyer might sound like, Godzilla or the Destroyer of Worlds, somebody coming in just to do wrong or to do bad. And maybe a little bit they are. But if we look at James Bond as the media representation of the destroyer archetype, we'll see that James Bond always has a mission and has an objective, and
Mm-hmm.
the uh, primary way that he achieves it is through seduction and destruction. And I think
Yep.
seduction without commitment or seduction without an intention to develop a relationship is a bit of a destroyer quality to have. Is like, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
consume part of you. I'm going to, I'm going to take this thing and just destroy, like become oblivion with you tonight in this moment. And then roll out of bed, grab my gun, and go off to the next thing. And a lot of the women that he was seducing or seduced by were bad guys,
Yeah.
So I think the destroyer here is also the one who makes way for creation, who makes way for and needs to come and needs to like blow all of the old windows out of the house so that there's fresh air that comes in and revives any situation. So if you're a Deacon 2 Scorpio, just understand that not everybody is going to love you for that destructive nature that you have, but you are always going to be welcome in the world. You are always going to be needed in the world because we absolutely need to, burn old forests in order that the ashes can help fertilize new growth. We are always going to need destroyers. We are always going to need destruction. It's a part of life. And for Deacon 2 Scorpios, y'all are the ones who are like trail blazing, as in leaving trails of fire behind you and like mowing things down to serve the highest purpose, which is to just
Yeah.
keep us moving through cycles of life and death. So if you appreciate death to the degree where you're like, I don't know why it's an obsession, like Halloween is my favorite, my favorite holiday, and I just can't help but, get into zombie movies, and there's just something about it that feels resonant for you. Lean into that. You don't have
Yeah.
to be, afraid of that destroyer quality within yourself. Just lean into it.
Right. Yeah, this second decan of Scorpio is like death resurrection energy too. Like, think about all the times that we think James Bond almost died, but like, oh wait, he's cryogenically frozen, he's back. It really is like that. And there's a quality of, you show up and you're very seductive and like all eyes are on you, but nobody knows anything about you. And because of that, you're able to like slip and slide and slink and die and be reborn and maybe fake your death. Super fun, actually.
Really fun. We love this,
Yeah.
Deacon.
Yeah, we love them all. Okay, so the third deacon is a little bit more, I would say, kind of pulled into themselves. And I'm calling this one the nocturnal observer. So it like makes me think of an animal that hunts by night, or the person at the corner of the party that's just kind of like observing, and they feel a little bit like they're up on a tower of some kind, but they're not projecting that they're better than anyone. You're just getting like they're seeing some things playing out by specifically not just jumping into the soup of everyone else's shit. They're like a little on the outside and cool with it.
A little bit of a, yeah, detached observer. And
Mm-hmm.
I've got the vampire archetype for this one. And again, we've got a like we said would happen. We've got an archetype that sounds negative or sounds like a monster, and in reality, the vampire can really make you appreciate what is eternal, really make you
Mm.
appreciate what is momentary and instantaneous, because the moment passes. And that's what the people who are sitting in the corner of the party know. They're watching and they're going, this is all going to pass. And yet, I've seen this all before, because we play out as humans a lot of the same um, relationship patterns and conflict patterns and play patterns. So, yeah, they're just that person who is going to come in and maybe drain the life out of something because they think it's entertaining, or because they think like other people need to have, like, there are just sometimes when the vampire comes in and goes, I'm not doing this for my benefit, I'm doing this for your benefit. Like, I kind of need to maybe not take the wind out of somebody's sails for the purpose of entertainment, but to help ground people back in reality. The vampire has that wisdom of like knowing that everything has consequences, and also that everything that is meaningful is also completely meaningless. So they are often the devil's advocate. They are going to be the person in the conversation who, if they're not sitting in the corner and they're taking part, they're going to try to disrupt a little bit of whatever you're excited about. And are you sure about that? You, every single chance that they get. The vampire, um, not only is that observer in the dark, but has an appreciation for those sort of that deep rest that you get when depression takes you through a valley of darkness. They are going to have an
Yes.
appreciation for, while I am not the happiest person all the time, I find great value in reading a book by candlelight. And there is going to be, for me, moments of pleasure and pain that don't define my existence, which allows me to cause pain and pleasure in equal amounts when I choose to not just be an observer and I choose to engage.
Yeah, vampire slaps for this one too. And there's like, of course, that nocturnal, eternal energy and the hypnotic magic, because Scorpio Deacon 3 can like actually hypnotize people, like just with your words, with your energy. You can move people to do what you want. And that does need to be wielded with some degree of responsibility, you know. And it can
Mm-hmm.
turn into, I'm thinking of Laszlo and Nadia from
Oh,
What
what
We
we
Do in
do
the
in the
Shadows.
shadows. Yeah.
And just thinking about how like they both exude that like super sexy, magnetic, and obviously like they hypnotize people on the reg, but their insatiable appetites really do get them into trouble sometimes, which is hilarious to watch fake vampires. But for Scorpio Deacon 3, like you do gotta watch and make sure that like it doesn't turn to manipulation, like the dark side of manipulation.
Manipulation for the sake of manipulation, right? Like a puppeteer. You're not a
Right.
puppeteer. That's a little different from this. Yeah.
Right. Now I'm back on Avatar and thinking about the blood bender and how you can use that for good or for bad.
Oh wow. Ooh wow. Great
Right.
pull.
Thank you. Thank you, brain. Okay. Sag Deacon 1, it's
Let's
your
go,
turn.
Sagittarius.
Whoop whoop. Okay, so Sagittarius Deacon 1 carries like some of the solo act energy of Scorpio. And I see them like really traveling and exploring extensively. And that can be metaphorical too, Sagittarius 1. Like maybe you haven't ever left the country, but you've explored a lot of things, and especially medicines. The sticky energy in here is that sometimes you're learning things from other cultures without giving credit to those cultures, and maybe like trying to monetize or bastardize or like make it yours, like just fucking stealing. Okay. Ugh.
Right. Like you encounter something new and different out in the world and you never find a reframe for it. You're always like, wow, that's weird. But it works. And now I'm going to bring it to others and talk about how weird it is in spite of it working, instead of like being with the people and being like, why is this not weird to you? Why is this normal? Why is
Yeah.
this, integrated into your culture
Mm-hmm.
and to your society? What about it makes it special? Yeah. I think Sagittarius Deacon 1, I've got two archetypes here. I've got the healer and the Samaritan. Because when I think of a traveling medicine person, I think of a good Samaritan. I think of somebody who's out there just trying to do good. So the healer is a pretty obvious archetype to pair with this one. But there's also this sense that, like, you could just stay in one place and be a doctor, but I think a Samaritan is gonna uh, walk around and like go from village to village, town to town, city to city, and try to. There's another like layer of adaptability here, where I'm going to try to um, also inspire other people with this information that I have. I think a good Samaritan would do that, would try to bring new information to distant lands and sort of bring it as a gift. Um, and something that I want to point out too, in the sense that Deacon 3 always has a little flavoring of Deacon 1 of the sign after it. I want to point out here that the vampire, if I can just scroll back for a second, the vampire also creates life. They heal
Mm-hmm.
people in the sense that if you are dying and you want to preserve life, a vampire will do that. A vampire is sometimes a good Samaritan in that they will, choose to pass on that life-giving quality. And I saw that and I was like, oh, why didn't I say anything about like the healer aspect of the vampire? I think that's really interesting there to frame a
Yeah.
vampire as a healer as well. But to bring it back to our traveling medicine person, our Deacon ones, Sages, I think a Samaritan also can be a bad Samaritan. A Samaritan can also like want to do good and not realize that they're doing such a bad, or be
Yeah.
deluded and convince themselves that they are creating illusions of goodness and illusions of healing for other people that doesn't actually help them in the long run, or in fact does the opposite and hurts them. So
Literally.
it really could go, yeah, it really could go either way, and you have to pay attention to your own intentions and what kinds of inspiration, what the flavor of inspiration is that you are trying to, give others a taste of. Because if you are traveling around and you are essentially spreading that message and you are spreading that information, then you are going to be responsible for planting seeds that grow in other societies and other cultures, maybe in your own culture, that is a bad.
Yeah.
It could be a good, it could be a bad. You have
Planting
to
seeds,
pay attention.
scattering spores. Yeah, it's almost like maybe the energy of a traveler crossing borders and like they've tracked something in to this island from their mainland and there's disease that's carried with it, or advocating for a medicine before you really know the implications of it, like not just in a physical body, but in the environmental implications and cultural implications. And it really is in Sagittarius that you could poison people. So, like, be careful with that and be responsible with it, Sag 1. And know that it is your superpower. So you just like got to wield it responsibly. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
perfect. Your archetype that you chose, healer and
Samaritan.
Samaritan.
Mhm.
And that word, like, if y'all want to go on a biblical arcana trip right now,
Give it to
Sag
us.
1, yeah, Sag 1 also has a problem with being outcast by a Judeo Christian church. And in the Bible, a Samaritan was like the opposite of a Jew. So, like, the bad guys, the heathens. So, the whole story of the Good Samaritan was like, wow, there's a Samaritan who's actually good. So, there's like a little projection thing happening here in the Samaritan. And it's about recognizing the oneness of all of us. Because in Sagittarius, now we're looking at intrapersonal we're looking at our big connection with each other. And that's what we learn by being a Samaritan and by receiving a Samaritan, like someone you didn't think was a good person helping you.
Mm. Wow, I did not know about that. That's why
Yeah.
the Good Samaritan is such a thing, because it's in stark contrast to a regular, degular Samaritan.
Yeah. Is the
Wow.
beginning of Islamophobia in the Bible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Racism. Yeah.
Right.
That's that's incredible, because we do have I'm also just like, oh yeah, and like Sagittarius season is very close to the birth of Christ, and that sort of like, you know, keynote, that note in history books. I'm trying to think of like the, what is it called, the small text at the bottom where you have like a note and then you read
Footnote.
the, a footnote. Yeah, like a really big footnote that's about to come, you know, right after this. And yeah, it kind of makes me think of like the historical context of the evolution of how we relate to each other as the seasons go by, as the astrological seasons go by. Like, the Sagittarius is the Sagittarius season, when we're in Sag season every year for all of time, the time when we like feel that stark contrast between us and them? Like, is there like a big difference here? I wonder about that kind of stuff. Wow, thank you for bringing that in.
Yeah. I thanks for inviting it by choosing that archetype. All right, Sag one. That's a lot. Chew on that. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Oh,
Okay. Sag 2. I am giving you the druid guide. There's like so much earth magic in this area. Oh my God. And it's really, I mean, I'm seeing like the connection of galactic magic, like stars and earth magic come together in Sagittarius too to make the most Sagittarius Sag. And I think of like Radagast, the wizard brother of Gandalf and Sauron, right? Who's kind of like the weird one that lives in the woods and speaks to the hedgehogs and is fucking super powerful, but very weird and needs
what
to
a
be
weird
close
Looney
to
Tune.
nature. Totally a character. And maybe ate too much mushrooms. So Sag too. That's also.
Hey, ate just the right amount of mushrooms
I know.
and had their trip perfectly mapped out, and then somebody showed up and it's like, you weren't supposed to be here for this trip. Your
Right. I
trip
know.
that you're taking, your journey that you're taking, different from my journey.
Ah, outside people.
Right. For this Deacon, I picked the two archetypes again, the nature child and the guide.
Yes.
And I love guide for this because it really taps into, like, if you are, you know, evolving from healer Samaritan and you're thinking about ways to um, heal people and like fix one specific problem in their life, the guide is a step up from that, where it's like, I'm going to like sit with you for all of the events and all of the patterns in your life, and we're going to tap into the illness that exists and persists in all of those different areas, not just like one physical ailment. We're going to get into sort of like the socio emotional components of why you became sick. And the nature child here is the version of the inner child that we've been seeing through all of these archetypes. And if you do your own sacred contracts journey and you figure out your own 12 archetypes, everybody has an inner child. So you would be able to choose from divine child, magical child, eternal child, nature child. So this is just one of them, just to give like a side note for sacred contracts and the sort of system that Caroline Myss has created. Um, the nature child is the inner child who thinks that they can transform into a bear if they just hang out with bears for long enough, and thinks that if they cover themselves in dirt that they can go completely invisible and hide, thinks that if they eat enough mushrooms that they're going to be able to talk with the mushrooms. So a nature child is is going to, I mean, can't you though? Is what Emily's face was saying just now.
Everyone who's taken mushrooms is like, well, actually.
Well, actually. Yeah, I'm just like, and the nature child is going to be that one who believes that speak with animals is not just a spell in Dungeons and Dragons, but is a real thing that you can do. So it might grow up to be an animal translator or an animal communicator, animal psychic type shit,
Totally.
but might also grow into a wise old grandma who is not going to just listen to the about your ailments and like the little things that are going wrong, but is going to like find those nuggets of those truffles of wisdom. Like she's going to dig around her snoot and she's going to sniff out those truffles of wisdom, and you're going to be like, this is really valuable. Holy shit, I'm so glad that I gave my grandma the time of day, and was able to receive that wisdom. So I think in the same way that Scorpios experience like a lot of misunderstanding and isolationism, I think Sagittarius also gets not like a bad rap, but maybe feels a little bit lost in the world if the world doesn't appreciate your connection with nature and your connection with people and your connection with that desire to make better happen. I think Sagittarius, if they had like one hashtag or one sort of like, motto, it would be make better happen. Because that's like at the core of what they really care about. I just want to see more good happen in the world.
Yeah, and it's so connected with the natural world, like on a level that is really interesting for a fire sign.
Yeah.
Like this really deep, earthy connection. And of course, as we move into Sagittarius Decan 3, we'll see that even more, like how they're bringing their magic all the way down.
And I was thinking as when we get to the podcast episode where we talk about all of the signs with their other element flavorings, I'm like, oh, I wonder if Sag, we're going to agree that this is like has the fire primary and earth secondary, because that's what it's looking like to me. But I do have to tap in and like go feel into all of them, because this is really interesting to see just how earthy all of these decans feel. And it's, I mean, we do have the Sagittarius is represented by an archer with a flaming arrow, yes, but the archer is a centaur. So in the same way that Capricorn and Aquarius are also kind of a little mixed up because they got the water, the water and the air, the water and the water, actually. Capricorn, is the sea goat, has a little bit of water to it. Aquarius is the water bearer, has a little bit of water to it. They have these other flavors to them. And the centaur is also like protector of forests. If you have ever read Harry Potter or played Hogwarts Legacy, which is what I'm doing right now, you'll see that the centaurs are the ones right now. Physically, right now, I'm playing it with the PS4 under this right here, and Expelliarmus. Okay, we see that centaurs are also like protectors of land, protectors of the forests that they live in, and it is Chiron who is the wounded healer, which is also a centaur. So we kind of can't help that the healing the earthy components of healing and being a centaur is part of the Sagittarius vibe here.
Yeah. And like feel that progression from Sagittarius 1 that's just like, boom, I'm traveling everywhere. I'm figuring stuff out. I'm making mistakes. Sagittarius 2 is like, oh, I'm starting to really understand everything and how magic works on Earth. And then we have Sag 3 that's like, ah, I need to teach this. I'm going to take all of this and bring it all the way down to earth in a way that makes it digestible for other people. And I call the Sag 3 the seer student, like almost perpetual student of magical sight. Like super mythical, still carrying that Capricorn energy, and is probably down and dirty in their research and study, and has an awesome library, and knows how to heal like anything. That's the energy there, and they're just learning to share that with people through story, through teaching, through being a counselor of some kind. Like, we're bringing it all the way down and out.
I love this evolution for Sagittarius, and I love that Sagittarius being one of the signs that it's like the in the autumn of life is reverting back to that childlike wonder. And I've always seen Sagittarius as like the most playful inner childlike sign in the zodiac, because everybody I've ever known who is a Sagittarius has that sort of innocent, naive child's mind, and sometimes doesn't even like not doesn't evolve to grow from that, but doesn't try to resist it, doesn't try to evolve out of it. And that's why the archetype for Decan 3 is again two of them, student and visionary. And I almost want to make this just visionary and take visionary away from the media mogul Decan 3 of Gemini, and pull that back and be like, you just get dilettante, okay, you guys, because the seer student, the Sag Decan 3 is the real visionary here, the one who is capable of understanding I'm a lifelong learner no matter how old I am. And it's almost like a reverting back. So like the healer Samaritan is like I know everything about healing and I'm going to teach it to all of you. The nature child guide, the Decan 2, is like, I know a lot about this and I have some nuggets of wisdom, but I always could learn more. And if only I could transform into a hawk or a wolf, I would know more, but I'm sorry, my information is limited. The Decan 3 is like, I have the capacity to know everything, and that's why I keep learning. I know that I don't know everything. And that's why my information is so valuable, because I am taking this from such a astronomical perspective on what I know and what I don't know, that this sort of like cosmic student of life is going to not need to teach in order to feel valuable, but likely will become a teacher because of their passion and because of the humility that they bring to their teaching, which is why the person that Emily just typed into our spreadsheet for this is so wonderful.
You said astronomical, and I was like, this bitch, so psychic. Yeah, I'm thinking of Neil deGrasse Tyson, who has just had like a lifetime of bringing everything that he knows that is wicked ascended and creating it, packaging it, working with people, collaborating on ways to bring it to the everyman. A really stellar example, to keep using star metaphors.
A real stellar guy who also has that sort of humility of like, well, if I don't know everything, then I'm willing to learn and teach me right now. Actually, very spongy.
Yes. Yeah, so sweet. Love that. I love that we got to there with Sag 3. All right, Capricorn 1, it's your turn. Welcome. Capricorn, the sea goat. So the very first decan of Capricorn carries some of like the traveliness of Sagittarius, in my humble opinion. And I'm calling them the ambitious missionary, because they really have this like climb every mountain kind of energy coming through them. And they're not afraid to go running up the hill and bringing whatever it is that they're bringing to the masses. And they can totally burn out on that, on the running around like a crazy person trying to fix, save, rescue. And when we think about missionaries, maybe even crusades and stuff, like we see some of the problems here, like enforcing my will on another or a people group.
Right. Sometimes your ambitions cannot just be for yourself, but be for the changing of whole cultures and systems which weren't broken and didn't need your help.
Yeah.
We always got to make sure that we're talking about the colonizers' attitude toward religion, because it's bad. It's humiliating. It's really embarrassing, you guys. So the archetype that I picked for Decan 1 of Capricorn is the priest or the priestess. They are going to have their own ambitions. And, if you're into God, then like that's totally cool. And if you want to talk about God, there are a lot of ways that you could do that. But to become a priest or a priestess, you have to have a very special relationship not with God, which is what a lot of people think is a special relationship with God is necessary so that you can become, a privileged mouthpiece for God and the one who really redesigns God to their own liking and packages that God to their people, but has a special relationship with the divine nature of creation and destruction. So this is kind of like the evolution of that like Scorpio Sag like understanding of what destruction is all about, what life is all about. And now Capricorn is putting it all together and going, I want to teach on what the in-between means and where the meaning of life is between those 2 points, life and death. And I sometimes feel like I am God because I have such a good understanding of this, and I can get a little bit high and mighty and a little bit know-it-all about it. And also, Capricorn Decan 1 can be the most trusted person in their community because they they give their ego a fucking backseat. And
Yes.
the ambition is not to make themselves known, but is to make their message known, to make their mission known. And that's what the ambitious missionary in their lightest aspect does. They put their mission first without putting their ego first.
Yeah. I love that. It's so important. And that's like really Capricorn's downfall is going to be like for all three deacons is putting the ego in the front seat and letting them drive, and all of a sudden you find yourself like stuck in materialism and darkness and like so much decay, right? Because we're in winter now when we're talking about Capricorn. And I'm thinking for a pop culture reference of the righteous gemstones, which if you've
Oh,
yeah. All you need to do is watch the opening scene and you will get what I'm saying if you've not seen them. But they're basically like a, a televangelist family that becomes really corrupted by like the sickness of materialism when it did start as like a genuine heart offering of like, you know, missionary and like wanting to spread the good word, as they say, but
right.
becomes a really insane, corrupt, like McMansion lined shenanigan.
It's like if a priest became Elvis Presley, and it's like,
Yeah.
you should
Oh,
not be swinging your hips that much. This isn't about you.
it's like the Vatican.
It's like the Vatican,
Anyways.
period. Right. If your ambition is taking you left of center, that's probably what that's going to look like. And the brain blast that I had while talking about this is the beginning of the winter
Yeah.
season of life. And this is the midlife crisis sign. Because this
Hilarious.
is like the age of life where you're experiencing it's your third Saturn return, but it's going to be the second that you really no, yeah, right? Yeah, because the first Saturn return is when you're born. No, the first Saturn experience that you have is when you're born. But your
30.
Saturn
Yeah.
return is going to be 29. And then your second Saturn return, which a lot of people refer to as like quarter life and midlife crises. Go and watch our Saturn return episode. It's really juicy and impactful, I think. Uh, the season of life that you're going to be having is the one where you're like, what is the meaning of life? What's the purpose of it all? I'm 58 years old. I've lived my life for others, maybe, or I've watched people die at this point, maybe. I've given life, I've watched life end. I've maybe had to be the one who said goodbye to people on purpose. And where am I in all of this? Like what befalls me? What is my connection to the meaning of it all? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny to go, oh yeah, this is the winter of life. This is like, Capricorn's the beginning of the end. And that's why Emily saying like ego is going to be a thing that comes up for all of Capricorn, because there's a part of aging, and I can't say this from experience, but I can say it from having witnessed and gaining that wisdom. Part of aging is remembering who you are over and over again, and then also becoming a different version of you so many times throughout your life, or maybe staying the same version of you throughout your entire life, in such a way that your ambitions start to turn and twist, and your mission in life has to evolve, or has evolved so many times that you're not even sure who you are anymore. So the ego coming into play at this point makes a lot of sense. Love
Yeah.
this. Love this
Yeah.
revelation happening right now for me.
Right. Like, maybe you've met someone who has like just discovered mindfulness. Oh, I'm thinking of Dan Harris, who's a great example for this. So, like, NBC newscaster, started getting into cocaine to try to keep up with everything, has a panic attack on live air, and then is like, oh my God, I have to deal with this, and starts learning about mindfulness via Buddhism, meditation, and sharing about it because he's so fucking excited. Like, that's kind of the energy. Like, someone who has just discovered something later in life and they're like, oh, I have to share this with you. Yeah, my mind is super blown and it's really sweet. And like, there's an innocent, the Sagittarius, like, child quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on what you're sharing, man.
Yeah. It depends on if what you're sharing and the epiphany that you've had helps or hurts other people, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. So that's cap 1. You got it. Thick and juicy. Cap 2, Capricorn 2, I'm calling you the aspirational architect. You've done all of this learning and understanding. You have climbed every mountain. And now you're like, oh, okay, I actually see how we can make this world better. And I want to do that. I want to help build that. There's like pyramid imagery here, and just a desire to see the new earth be formed. Like, we are real focused on earth stuff in the second decan of Capricorn.
Yeah, I've got the archetype for Decan 2 for Capricorn that I've picked is 2 archetypes again, because we've used the engineer along with the gambler for, where were we? Gemini 2, the speedy strategist. But here we've also got, like, there's an engineering that happens in the mind, and then there's also an engineering that happens in the material. And that's the one that I'm thinking of, because, an engineer or a gambler is going to, like, be calculating in their brain, whereas an advocate engineer, which are the 2 archetypes that I picked for this decan, the advocate mixed with the engineer, the advocate is going to act. They're essentially actors on behalf of. And that means they're going to always show up in the material world, not necessarily taking a back seat and, like, being behind the scenes and planning, but is actually going to be showing up. And I think that's where the aspirational part of this architect comes, where they're really trying to shoot for the moon. And
Yeah.
it's not just so much so that they can land among the stars. They really have a plan for how to, they know of how to get to the moon. They know how to do it, you fucking idiots. And the only reason that we might shoot for the moon, for the aspirational architect here, for Decan 2 of Capricorn, shoot for the moon and land among the stars, is if somebody else comes and fucks it up. If somebody else doesn't see what we see, and if the Decan 2 Capricorn does not advocate for themselves and find fellow advocates to reinforce the message. So, like, the priest here, Decan 1, has the message and has the meaning. And Decan 2 has taken that message and meaning and is advocating for it by creating real live systems and real live structures, real life modes of transportation. If we think about a rocket to get us to the moon, creating the real thing to get us there and to help us not just talk about the meaning of life, but to experience it.
Yeah. Right. And not afraid of like a 20-step plan. In fact, like really great with a 20-step plan and great at delegating. And there's like a real practicality here. It's so funny. I sold a piece of furniture yesterday to a woman, and she was like, "Guess my sign," when I told her I was an astrologer. And I just like looked at her and like felt her energy, and I was like, Capricorn. And I was right. Because she came through real practical, great communication, wearing like black, white, and tortoise shell. Like, I'm just like, you got that practical, down to earth energy that's like, I know how to get shit done. And the danger of being the one that knows how to get shit done is often that you don't ask for help and you end up all exhausted and burnt out, and half done projects crumbling around you.
Yeah, just because you're the advocate and the engineer doesn't mean that you're the only one who's working on those projects and that you're the only one who is standing for something. You got to find
Yeah.
your Libras who are going to harmonize with you and create balance. You got to find the people who are going to um,
Mm-hmm.
believe in your knowing and believe in your mission and be
Yeah.
able to strap in, because if you don't ask for help, then you're not going to make it to the moon. The only thing that could keep you from the moon is, the obstacles that other people become when you don't just tell them what's going on and say, "Hey, this is really important to me. I need
Yeah.
help."
Exactly. Uh, and unlike other areas of Capricorn, Capricorn 2 can get really discouraged when someone like tells you no or like tries to throw a stick in your spokes. So just know that like this is part of it. This is part of the journey to hear no, to have a couple of failures, and that's how we learn, okay? Shh.
Okay.
Shh. I know. So after this whole like practical how to build things, Capricorn is Capricorn 3, which is like, I'm calling it the elegant all-seeing eye. And of course now I'm thinking about the all-seeing eye of Mordor. But it's not like that. It's more I think of it more like a prophet, who really sees, okay, everything on a practical level, but is also like peering beyond the curtain and seeing some of the systemic changes really that we need and how it can happen. Because y'all, that shit is so big. Like, that Capricorn 3 vision is so important to our new world right now. We need all of y'all who have this placement to be tapping in, because you know how to get it done. And it's also like a really humble area after you've been through all of this practical mountain climbing. You see how to affect and create change here.
Yeah, again, with the mission, it's like there's
Mm-hmm.
personal mission, interpersonal mission, and then global mission, which uh, is why I picked the mystic archetype for the third decan of Capricorn, because the mystic is made up of the stars and dark matter that sits between the earth and the moon. So it's like uh, you think that there's nothingness out there, but in actuality, there needs to be matter. It's called dark matter for a reason. It has density, and the Decan 3 Capricorn is likely going to be that person who feels a little mystical and feels a little mysterious, or even has trouble showing up because they have maybe a less concrete than the other Decans
Right.
connection to the mission. But there is like this really beautiful in between that the mystic gets to tap into, which is energy, vibrations, frequency. We normally and also this Decan 3 has flavors of the sign that comes after. Aquarius is, you know, an air sign and very alien and very space like, which is probably why I'm getting that for the mystic right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we often don't see things like frequency and vibration as uh like earth things or as like things that are real. So it's interesting how like the meaning of life is something that's real to us and that we all get but we don't get. And then the advocate engineer is like, well, I'm going to make physical things so that everybody gets it. And the mystic is like, I release everything that makes sense because we can see it. And I'm anchored into everything that makes sense because we can feel it, because we can feel it vibrationally. Like if you've ever seen that, that sort of, what is it called? It's like a square that they can send vibrations through and frequencies through where they put rice. And
Yeah,
as you are
yeah.
playing a certain frequency, the rice moves and shifts and creates certain patterns. And it creates those patterns based on the frequency and the vibration. And on this sort of plate that it moves on, that feels like Decan 3 Capricorn for me. Like finding ways as a mystic to bring what is unseen but palpable and usable and completely real into a space where more people can understand it, more people can find ways to connect with it and like build their own associations with it. Like for me, Decan 3s, I was like, you can explain it to me 8 different times and I'm not going to get it until you make
Hmm.
it until you attach it to something for me. And Decan 3 Capricorns are those people who are going to be like, okay, I understand that you don't see what I'm seeing, you know, psychically. So I'm going to use tarot
Mm-hmm.
cards. I'm going to use oracle cards. I'm going to use bones. I'm going to use all these, I'm going to use tea leaves. I'm going to,
Bones.
I'm going to use bones. I'm going to use these representations of these physical manifestations of things that are unseen, like vibrations and frequencies that help pull us all into an understanding of this thing. So as a
Yeah.
mystic, Decan 3 Capricorn, you might also deal with a lot of misunderstanding. I feel like the Decan 3s for the last few have all had a lot of misunderstanding going on, but you have to kind of stick with uh, that inner source of knowing and that mission that you have, that drive that you have, to be true to those knowings, where you don't have to prove yourself all the time. You might feel even like you have to explain yourself a lot, and you might have a negative relationship to explaining yourself. And for that reason, I would recommend trying not to explain so much. letting things
Bitch.
go, letting things go, letting people misunderstand you, letting people think that you're just this absence of something when you're actually dark matter and you have substance. Let people think that you have no substance and
Right. Oh
and
my
let
God.
go.
There's there's that energy in here too that like people think you're a bimbo or like out to lunch because you're connected to mysticism, but in a Capricorn way. And it's
Yes.
like, whatever. There's also like financial management guru energy here too. So if you have this prominently in your chart, I have it in my what is this? My fifth house of self-expression. As Kellyanne's like, don't over-explain yourself. I'm like, fuck me, man. So if you have this Capricorn Decan 3, as Kellyanne does a spit take,
Uh-huh.
you have the ability to like foresee and plan for the future, like a little squirrel making deposits, and some of them will grow into oak trees and some of them will rot, some will be stolen by other squirrels, and some you'll bring into your storehouse. And the only thing you got to worry about with the money stuff is getting greedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like because of fear, because of scarcity, like all that Saturn ruling influence here in Capricorn can bite you in the ass.
And I think the Deacon 3 Capricorn here, if we like translate that to the mystical, is like, well, I'm the only one who understands. I'm the only one who understands how these things work. Wow, boo-hoo you. You don't have to
Yeah.
teach other people, but it does help for you to, again, release the ego about it.
Mm-hmm. Right. The
No
ego.
gatekeeping allowed.
No. And just for all of our edification here, the study of seeing sound, vibration, and frequency is called cymatics, with a Cymatx. There
Cymatics
we go.
sounds so close to cybernetics. It's like
I know, right?
tickling something in my brain for me.
That Mercury Pisces making a connection.
Yeah, where our brains are tweaking.
Hot, hot, which is super fun. Like, go have a fun research hole about that. It's fascinating.
Have a fun research hole about it.
That's a sentence. Okay, Aquarius, Deacon 1. It's your turn.
Let's go.
All right. So, Aquarius, Deacon 1, fun energy here when it's like doing its job. I'm thinking of the Seven of Swords, which is the tarot correspondence, and it's like, I'm sneaking, but I'm doing it for the good of all humanity. And it's where we have Promethean energy. So Prometheus, who was divine but stole fire from the gods to give it to the humans to just give them a little nudgy wudge forward in their evolution, and was punished, of course. But that kind of like bold rebelliousness, don't give a fuck about your laws because there's higher law here. That is the energy of Aquarius. 1.
Aquarius Deacon 1. Yeah, which has some relationship to the mystic of Deacon 3 for Capricorn here. And I just want to point out that I've got the mystic as the archetype for Deacon 3 of Capricorn. And for Aquarius Deacon 1, I've got the magical child and the Messiah as our archetypes here. There's also a sense of Jesus coming through here because this is around the time that he was born. But also around the time that, if we take away the Judeo-Christian associations with this time, this was also a magical pagan portal. I mean, this was a time where people were really connecting to the sort of nothingness in order to find the magic of it. And I think that's where the magical child and the Messiah archetypes come in here. The bold Prometheus is the one who is going to rebel a little bit. And I think that's what the magical child knows that they have to do. They have to put on the cloak of invisibility and sneak around sometimes.
Aww.
in order to achieve their ends, the mission for their ends. And the Messiah is also a rebel. A Messiah is not one who is going to say all the things that everybody wants to hear or is going to repeat what's already said. The Messiah is going to say some new shit that is going to rock the boat and is going to maybe get you killed, huh? The Messiah is the one who people are going to look to for messages of freedom and liberation. So, yeah, Deacon 1 for Aquarius really has that sort of like almost alien energy, like having come from the stars or made up of stars or can talk to the stars and like knows something that other people don't. And maybe shares it with others, but maybe like that's part of their charm is that they show up bubbly and effervescent and light because they know something that you don't. And it's that there's magic in everything, that anything could
Yeah.
transform into something else. There's this alchemical quality to the childlike sense of wonder that Aquarius Deacon 1 understands without knowing how to explain it or needing to explain it at all. Talk about
Yeah.
going from over explaining to not explaining at all. Can't explain it.
Under yeah,
Yeah.
it's reminding me of since we're talking about magical children and cloaks and your game, I'm thinking about Luna Lovegood from the
Mm.
Harry Potter series, who's
Oh, for
like a
sure.
total weirdo, and she's just like naming all these sort of like out there metaphysical things, and people are like, what is that, what is she talking about? She'll tell you if you ask, and she's comfortable being an outsider that people are just like, we don't know what she's on. But if you want to know, sure, I'll share my eccentricity with you.
And hey, maybe you get it, maybe you don't.
Yeah, no skin off my back. And as we're talking about Prometheus and messiahs too, right? Aquarius 1 has to watch out for who they associate with. If there are people that are like throwing you evil eye and stuff, cut them out. I mean it.
Yeah. Yeah, find your own boundaries and protect yourself because there are
Mm-hmm.
always going to be people who try to disrupt the magic and try to convince you that the world isn't magical. Like, that's what the majority of our conditioning is. You know, when you're young and you're a child, anything is possible. And even as, different children that we show up as a nature child, a divine child, a magical child, an eternal child, we're going to find our different flavors of magic. But I think it kind of all boils down to what the magical child knows, which is that anything can be anything and everything is everything, and there is potential in everything. And I think that's like the sort of pinpoint here is anything is possible, and also I can see the way to the impossible. I can see the path to the impossible, and I'm gonna have to preserve that path. I'm going to have to not put signposts so that other people can follow me because, they might come and try and find my little cache of impossible and try and destroy it.
Yeah, you kicked my sandcastle.
I found my own special cave where I made a sandcastle with all my invisible friends. And how dare you? That's where they were living, and now you destroy their home. Piece of shit.
The face. So genuine. Okay, Aquarius 1. Aquarius 2, we have learned a little bit since being a magical child slash messiah slash Prometheus. And you're now an empowered outsider. So happy to be on the outside looking in, or as I have noticed, this area of Aquarius is often in the center looking out. Like they have organized a group of people around themselves, but in that, like they still kind of feel alone. That is your superpower. That's your magic, is to like still stand in your total weirdness and that sense of being a little bit detached from the drama and the like the stuff that we get hooked into as humans, really. And
Right.
it's yeah,
You're the
it's reminding
empowered.
me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh no, you go. Oh no, you go. Oh no, you go. It's reminding me of Stitch, like from
Mm.
Lilo and Stitch, who kind of like crash lands on Earth. And I just watched like the new one with my partner, and I was like, I mean, he's a therapist. I am what I am. And afterwards, I was like, dude, they're like, oh, you're not bad. You just do bad things. That's super fucked up. And we were both like, yeah, that's real fucked up. And they start to make Stitch think that he's bad because he's feral and wild and has a whole different set of values. Like, there's the danger in Aquarius, too, is when you do start to listen to other people and try to tame certain parts of yourself. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Absolutely don't do that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost an empowered insider because while you're
Yeah.
on the inside and you don't feel like you belong, that can be a really tough place to be as well, where you're surrounded but you feel alone. The archetype here that I've got is seeker. A seeker is often going to go off into the world and try to discover what it is that reinforces all of their passions. They're going to be driven by their passions and make every attempt to um, discover every uh, discover every instance of that thing existing in the world. Um, the seeker also is somebody who, while they are, surrounded by other people, they're always thinking about that other thing. They've always got their eye, just one eye on that thing. And even if they have people around them who love them, who think that they're amazing, if you ask them what's going on in their brain, they're going to give you a tangent that doesn't have anything to do with the conversation that was just happening. And it's going to seem like they weren't paying attention or like they don't care. And yet, what's really happening is they have this sort of alien like fascination with certain elements of the human experience and the worldly
Mm.
experience. So, a seeker is going to try and find out why. They're going to be the kid in the back seat who's asking God, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? All the time, because they are going to be always wanting more and always wanting to find the answers to all the questions that they have. So the seeker archetype, I think, connects with Stitch because, he was also like, launched from his home and to some degree might want to go back, but is in search of family.
Yeah.
What does family mean? Empowered outsider. I'm, surrounded by a lot of people, but I still feel alone. What does that mean? What does it mean to actually connect with people? So a seeker might be interested in human concepts and relationship concepts, might be interested in inventions, might be interested in like actual literal space, but
Mm-hmm.
often has that sort of alien-like quality where it's like, I don't really belong here. And those feelings of
Yeah.
unbelonging can be really difficult to sit with, um, especially if you haven't found other aliens who have like interests. And I often wonder if like people with Aquarius or even just Aquarius Decan 2 specifically placements in their chart maybe think that they're autistic, uh, but maybe aren't, maybe are. Maybe the Deacon 2 makes us more autistic if we are autistic, because
Right.
that's kind of something that I associate with that, is like this feeling of not belonging, but also having so many uh, interest groups that you do belong to that ground you in the human experience, but don't necessarily make you feel of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that outsider energy kind of carries through for Aquarius too. And it's the superpower. Hold it. Wield it. And really for Aquarius Deacon too, like don't let people's big opinions and big feelings overwhelm you.
Mm,
Like, and that's sort of where that detachment can come in and be really, really helpful. Just whoop. I'm going to take a step back for a second.
right. You might try to like over associate with things that you don't in an effort to connect with people, or
Yeah,
connect with experiences that you just simply don't understand. And that's not
right.
necessary.
Dang. Yeah. This theme of borrowing the opinions of people groups has been showing up like on my feed recently. And it feels like it pertains to this part of Aquarius and really all of our intra-personal or global signs here at the end that we're talking about. And it's like, say, because I am a astrologer and like new age practitioner, that I'm also, you could assume that I'm also left wing liberal and vegan and
Tattooed.
maybe a raging feminist and, you know, but it's
Mm,
not true.
ideological
Like,
things. Right.
right. Or because I became a spiritual astrologer, that now I need to take on all the beliefs of all the other spiritual astrologers, but you don't.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Kitty cats. Aquarius Deacon 3.
Meow.
No. So this one really becomes quite the activist because they can see it all. They're not afraid to be an outsider. They're not getting intimidated by other people's ideas of who they should be and what they should be caring about. And they are the people's revolutionary, a la Zorro and V from V for Vendetta, who like has a layer and has sat back and studied and figured out how to exactly take the system down. Like, what's the most effective way to ruin this fuckety bullshit? Fun.
Very fun. And I was definitely somewhere between liberator and rescuer for this one.
Mm.
But I think rescuer fits better because there's some quality to rescuer which tells me that um, somebody's in a situation that they cannot get themselves out of. You know, a
Hmm.
liberator feels bigger than that. It feels like liberator feels like almost like a whole nation that is, you know, in the throes of tyranny. But a rescuer is somebody who sees like one person who needs help and is going to just like act in that moment or create a plan in order to get them out, and believes in their lack of agency. Now, I feel like there's an immediate shadow side to that, which is taking away other people's capacity for rescuing themselves and getting themselves out. We've also got the damsel archetype, which exists and hasn't necessarily shown up in any of these archetypes, but could definitely be a flavor of. We've talked about the femme fatale. The femme fatale could pose as a
Mm-hmm.
damsel in distress and
Yes.
attract rescuers or attract knights or attract liberators in order to express whatever they need to express in their lifetime. The rescuer in their lifetime wants to be able to express that sense of powerlessness. I'm thinking of like a big release, and I'm not sure how to express this, but I feel that Deacon 3 Aquarians need to be able to express this sort of breakaway and this sort of almost like explosive, uh, like uncaptivating, as in like no longer captive. And I don't know that I'm making sense, but there's a sense to me that somebody is captive, and maybe it's the Aquarian, maybe it's the Deacon 3 Aquarius who feels that sense of being captive and so interprets that everybody else is too, and might get into the habit of rescuing because it it feels like that's their perspective on the world. That's how they see the world, is like everybody is held captive here. Talk about alien to the nth degree. Everybody is captive here,
Yeah.
and we have to get off of this fucking UFO. Um, there's also the light side to the rescuer, which is the Zorro, which is the V, the rescuer who is going to make others aware of their captivity and help them understand, like Stitch, that they are not bad for their wildness and they are not bad for the behaviors that show up when they are in captivity, which can be negative or hurt other people. Rescuers are going to make people conscious of their
Mm.
captivity and help them to unveil that from their eyes. I think I got there.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
there.
That slaps. Like, as Aquarius, the water bearer who's like bringing the divine knowledge of the gods to the people, like, think about how dangerous that is. Think about all the people that don't want you to share that. So this Aquarius is encouraged to make some moves in silence and like be strategic and sit back a little bit as they figure this out. Like V, we didn't even see his face, right? A mysterious character. Is it one person? Is it many people? It's a movement, it's a revolution. And that's what Aquarius 3 has the power to do. And just know, Aquarius 3, that if you decide to play in the Matrix and then rebel while you're in it, like, it's gonna hurt. There's gonna be slapback. So, like, you really have to tune in to your divine sneakiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm
Yes.
thinking of like Harriet Tubman, like the divine sneakiness of like, I'm gonna
Ooh.
save a whole bunch of people and break the law for a really, really divine cause because the law is unjust. But I'm gonna be
Right.
smart about it. I'm not gonna like go waving it around in front of everyone's face.
Oh my gosh. And that totally connects with I forget who is it, Ta-Nehisi Coates that wrote The Water Dancer? But there's a book called The Water Dancer that is set in um, United States slavery era. And Harriet Tubman is one of the characters in the book because they've made that underground railroad something literally magical, where they are
Cool.
casting I have chills where you're casting magic to create a bridge, and once you start walking over it, you don't have to travel from Virginia to New York via actual physical travel. You walk across a bridge on the stream of your master's land, like several acres away, so you're not caught, and you are magically transported into Philadelphia, which is free. So
Cool.
it's like really neat that you brought this in, because I'm thinking of how, Prometheus brought us a kind of liberation that was bold, though, and they got caught and they were out in the open.
Yeah.
And a Messiah is not going to be quiet and going to be whispering to people. They're going to be out in the open, and like Jesus, they're going to get caught and they're going to get nailed to a cross. They're going to, get tied down and get what is it? A crow feasting on their liver. Is that the Prometheus?
A raven, maybe?
Oh, sure. Or an eagle, I think. Maybe an eagle.
Yes.
One of them birds, but a liver
Or
feasted on for the rest of your life because you were out in the open. But that is Deacon One's lot in life. They have to be bold. That is their character. The People's Revolutionary Deacon 3 Aquarius, the Zorro, leaves the Z on the door and is never seen, but
yeah.
helps to get people out, relieve their consciousness from the chains that they've been in. Just in that sort of mysterious, undercover sort of way, masked sort of way.
Right. And fun fact too, because I had to know this, we don't know exactly when Harriet Tubman was born, but it was around this time. People have suspected she could have been a Pisces or an Aquarius. So just saying.
Perfect.
Kind of fun.
Literally perfect.
All right. Pisces, it's your turn. You've been so patient. We're so proud of you.
You're so good. What a good girl.
Hilarious. I bet you love hearing that because Pisces is the baby. And that's the energy that I have here for Pisces is kind of like a metaphysical baby that has come to Earth and is like, wow, like the characters that I'm tuning into. And this is like one of my favorite character archetypes is like Elf, little Will Ferrell depicting Elf, who's like in New York City. It's like, Candy, oh, wow, hey, that's the best cup of coffee. Or Kimmy Schmidt, if you watch Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, who is like out in New York City and just blown wide open and gullible as fuck and naive as fuck. Or Castiel from the Supernatural series, who's an angel who comes to Earth and then has periods where he's human and he's just like, oh my God, I'm like, I have to pee and eat all the time and it's so overwhelming. And what's this pizza? I love it. So I'm giving Pisces 1 the flowing optimist, like a fish dropped into the ocean and it's just like, whoa, wow, I'm feeling everything, I'm seeing everything, I'm absorbing everything. It's intense, dysregulating, but sweet. Like they're really seeing everything with rose-colored glasses.
Rose-colored glasses, and is kind of like a goldfish in the ocean who has an old soul, Like there's just something about them where you're like, oh, you're real googly-eyed, but you've got like some it's like something from many, 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 many past lives. Like I don't know how many,
Yeah.
but a very many. And
a wise goldfish.
Oh, a very wise goldfish, which is why I've got the angel archetype for Deacon 1 Pisces. The angel is, we all have our own different associations with angel, and I know that you have your own special one. I actually want to throw this to you. Emily, what are your associations with angels?
Dang. Well, obviously, I'm into the seraphim imagery of like the angel that when the Hebrew of the Bible is translated, it's not be not afraid, it's stop screaming. Please stop screaming, because the angel is bringing a whole fuck ton of power and light and otherworldliness to a place where it doesn't have any context and is super powerful and kind of scary. And that's totally Pisces vibes. I feel like it's Pisces vibes all the way through, but especially for this Deacon one. Yeah. Angelic energy is not cherubs, fat
Right.
babies.
Is not fat babies. I think there is still some level of naivete to, the angel who crash lands on Earth and goes,
Yeah.
this place is beautiful, and then sees a lion take down a gazelle the very next second and goes,
Ah!
oh, okay. I think there's a little bit of a naive orientation to Deacon One Pisces, which is why they get that optimist sort of association, because they cannot help but see everything through the eyes of the divine. And I almost put divine child for this one as well, because I see Pisces as like just coming in, dropping in with the knowledge that everything is divine and everything is God and everything is connected to God. But as an angel, you might have wings that let you fly out of bad situations. And so maybe you avoid some of the badness of life. I think, Deacon ones might have a tendency for avoiding situations that make them feel bad. And so there might be a tendency for Deacon One Pisces to have that sort of like starstruck, googly eyed version of the world that you then choose your protectors for, and you choose people to maybe be codependent with who preserve and protect that level of innocence. And it could be a good thing where people really truly honor your innocence and honor
Mm-hmm.
that optimistic version of the world, and preserve it and protect it with you, because they want that world to exist too. Like, they want your world to be as real to them as it is to you. And also, there might be people who are, sucking that sort of innocent life force, and really are trying to, because they don't believe in the goodness of everything, in the goodness of the divinity of everything,
Yeah.
they might try to keep you close and then cut off your wings so that you can't fly away, but you maintain that sort of optimism that they cannot produce for themselves. So watch your relationships with those who watch your relationships with people who have a certain relationship to their own optimism.
Yeah. And, talking about how Pisces one can sometimes find themselves in avoidance of like the bad feelings, that can lead to like some anesthetization with drugs, alcohol. Like, the idea here too for Pisces one is that you are a sponge. Remember that you're a sponge. You're a fish in the water, so you're drinking up the water of who you're surrounded by,
Right.
and you're the sign that needs to hear the most. Like, you are shaped by the 6 or 5 people you hang out with the most. Do you like that? No? Okay. Swim away.
Swim away. Yeah, because the substances around you, you're gonna look at them and say, well, it can't be that bad. You're gonna hear a lot of bad things about all the substances in this world. And because you have that angel archetype, because you are the ever flowing optimist, you're going to be like, well, it can't be that bad. And even while you are in the grips of substance abuse, you might be casting that illusion on yourself of like, well, it isn't that bad. So that optimism can transform into an avoidance of true good in order that you experience comfort over the discomfort of learning that the truth is sometimes a little good and a little bad. And I think the
Yeah.
avoidance of that, you know, I I think Pisces tends to see in maybe black and white thinking more so than the others. And so it's hard for us to live in the gray. And if living in the gray is too hard for you, and that's why you choose substances, or that's why you choose people who, you know, kind of provoke you to be even more of an optimist than maybe you have the capacity for, and like
Oh my
push you
God.
to
Yeah.
your limits, then you know it's time for you to get comfortable in the in between and get more comfortable with those gray zones. Get a Scorpio as a friend. Okay, get a
Yeah.
Scorpio and a Gemini as a friend, because they are going to show you life in the in between and life in the
Hmm.
darkness, and they're going to help you balance out a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe a Capricorn too, who's like, hey, it's not all just in the soup. You can bring it to life.
Mm-hmm. In the
Okay,
soup.
Pisces one. Soup. We're swimming in soup in the ocean. We're
You've been
goldfish. We're
souped.
wise. Yeah. You've been stewed. Okay. Pisces Deacon 2. You are now entering the stew. And for this deacon, I am calling them transcendent resurrection. So this Pisces has figured out, oh, I'm extremely absorbent. I need to stay away from what I know is like evil or devil energy, which I believe to be just stagnation energy. They need to be in flow. And this Pisces has figured out what they need to thrive on Earth. They're actually here doing life. And to be able to do that life, they've resurrected, and they're probably going to do it like 4 or 5 more times.
Yeah, in the same way that Deacon 1 is an old soul and has lived many lives before becoming a goldfish in the ocean, dropped into the middle of the ocean. The Deacon 2 Pisces, I've got the martyr archetype. So the angel, you know, has come down from heaven, but the martyr is going to figure out what matters most, and for the goodness of all and for the goodness of the cause is going to
Mhm.
sacrifice themselves and return to heaven, like return to uh, that goodness and the purity of the goodness of committing yourself to a cause, or committing yourself to the value of being good for goodness' sake. Like I'm thinking
Oh.
of Aaron Bushnell, who self-immolated for Palestine, and how, you know, how normal people who martyr themselves become saints, because
Mm.
that deacon to transcendent quality allows them to be transformed by the commitment that they make, that resolution that they make to let the world know this fucking matters, and I'll gladly give my life for it.
Yeah, right. Metaphorically and sometimes literally physically. Yeah. There's there's something here too, like after you've stopped avoiding the darkness, this Pisces feels the darkness recognizes their own darkness. Now my head's tingling. um, and learns too that we're on earth, like we're in a place where there is a balance of good and evil and light and dark, and that's part of the physical foundation of being here. So this Pisces needs to learn to actually ground into the spiritual, and that's going to give them what they need to continue that transformative process of dying and resurrecting, metaphorically, many times over a lifetime.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, I think Deacon 2 Pisces is going to ask themselves, how do I rid the world of the darkness? And will
Hmm.
often start with, well, I'll just sacrifice myself, and the darkness within me will be cast out of this world. And at least that'll be a little darkness that is has been disrupted or made light again. And Deacon 2 Pisces is going to martyr themselves for the littlest things too. I mean, we can talk about Aaron Bushnell and self-immolation being a really huge example of that, on a large scale, on a grand scale, where many of us know his name now. But the Deacon 2 Pisces is also going to be the returning, resurrecting martyr who's going to sacrifice themselves over and over and over and over and over again for their families, for their friends, for the littlest things. Like I don't know which deacon I'm in. I don't recall for my Pisces placements, the two that I have. But do I have two Pisces placements? Yes, I do. Mercury and Pisces. Yes, ma'am. Um, I don't know what mine are, but I gotta have a martyr in me because my sister and her partner and their dog moved in with my mom and my dad and myself and my dog. So that was 7 creatures living in a 3-bedroom house, which I know is not a lot to many people, but during quarantine, it felt like a lot because we were all living there and we were also trapped. Talk about being captive. And
Yeah.
I gave up my bedroom for them so that they could have their own space. And I was like, I'm just going to make myself puny and shrink up and live in a back room with no walls and no door. And what I learned from that experience was that I didn't have to martyr and sacrifice myself because they didn't even really want that. They wanted the reverse. And without even asking, I tried to rescue them from a thing that they didn't need saving from a bad that they didn't need a sacrifice to transmute. So
Yeah.
pay attention to that. Pay attention to the ways that you're assuming you're helping other people, and you're assuming there's a darkness that you need to transmute through your own personal sacrifice so that you can tap into what is worth sacrificing your energy and your time and your body and your mind and your spirit for. Because that's a
Hmm.
lot, baby. That's a lot.
Yeah. I'm getting that, especially there's martyrship to partners in this area of Pisces. So, like, anyone who is squashing your creativity, anyone who is siphoning your optimism, like, you cannot abide with that kind of behavior. And, like, it doesn't make sense to martyr yourself to one person when Pisces 2 actually has a lot of beautiful art and vision and love and feeling to bring the world.
Yeah, um the evolution of the martyr, if we think not just of sacrifice, is uh, the presentation of goodness and rightness and purity and the
Hmm.
preservation of purity to the world. So it's not just that, you see something bad and you kill yourself over it. It's that you recognize that there is wrong and harm being done in the world, and you choose to stand up in moments when it matters. And you also create your own definition for what a sacrifice is, because it doesn't always
Mm-hmm.
mean something like self-immolation or something like what Jesus Christ did, which is dying for our sins on a cross. Sacrifice does not always mean death. Sacrifice
Right.
doesn't always mean, and I don't mean like ultimate death. I mean, I do mean ultimate death, and I also mean the small deaths where you kill parts
Mm-hmm.
of yourself to give space to other people and space to things that other people think are right that you think are wrong. Do not shrink yourself. That's not what the transcendence is about. That's not what,
Yeah.
you know, moving from one state of being into another means. It doesn't mean that it shrinks. You know, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only move from one state of being to another. So you cannot shrink yourself in an effort to sacrifice yourself. That's my
Yeah.
advice, for real.
Yeah, I feel like the sacrifice in this area of Pisces is really like maybe sacrificing some comfort and sacrificing overindulgence, sacrificing like keeping yourself really insulated from the world and dealing with that discomfort and then creating from it. This is the magic. All right. Pisces Deacon 3, this is it. This is the end. We're at the end, which is also being at the beginning. So in Pisces Deacon 3, we have fire entering the chat once again through that connection with Aries that it's rubbing up against. And where the first two deacons of Pisces are like kind of spacey and watery and difficult to ground, the third deacon of Pisces is a magical manifester. Like they are doing it. They have a vision and then they have the fire to actually bring that vision to life. If they don't rush and become little impatient twats. This is my son, so I'm just roasting myself.
Oh my gosh. That makes so much sense for you too. That I'm like,
Impatience.
yeah, the martyr makes sense to me, but I don't get the magical manifester. I don't feel like I've ever had. But I've always seen it in you where I've been like, how does this shit just come out of nowhere? And yeah, sprinkle that fairy dust. The archetype that I've got for this deacon is Midas. And if you don't know who Midas is, King
Yeah.
Midas had the golden touch. Anything that he touched would turn to gold. So this is the archetype and the role that some people play in this world, where whatever they do, whatever they see, whatever they take an interest in, and they put their hands on and they put themselves to work at, alchemizes into something radically better. And I think
Yeah.
the Midas can also become the miser, somebody who uh, chooses not to put their hands on things and chooses not to get to work, because they don't want everybody to be able to be rich and wealthy like they are, with all of the gold that they have in their life. They kind of want to keep it all to themselves or are afraid of running out. There's a scarcity mindset that might sink in when it comes to the Midas touch. Will my Midas touch ever run out? Will there ever be a time where I've used up all of my gold alchemizing juju and now I just am stuck with all the choices that I've made and I get to be normal. I have to be normal again. And I think that
Yeah.
it's almost like less a fear of not having enough and more a fear of being normal that really terrorizes Deacon 3 Pisceans. And I'm sorry.
Terror.
I was going to say, I'm sorry, I'm roasting you right now. but also, I can see that the magical manifester, the Decan 3, um, for Pisces, takes on that sort of like goodness and the wisdom that they have. You know, we were talking about how uh, Deacon 1 has that old soul wisdom. Deacon 2, the martyr, experiences, like develops wisdom for like what is right in the world. And the magical manifester creates what is right, is able to just take
Mm.
all of that, like knowing all of that, like, that avatar. I've had many avatars before me, and I can just tap into that wisdom whenever I want to. And I have such an abundance of it that it doesn't scare me that it'll ever go away, because it's always there and I always have it. Whereas Deacon 1 is like, I know I've been here before, but I don't remember anything about this. Uh,
Goldfish.
yeah, Deacon 3 Pisces comes in and is like, I remember all of this. And I know what to do now. And basically just
Yeah,
has to get to work doing it.
exactly. And I'm remembering the moral of the story of King Midas. Well, not the moral, but like the bad thing that happens. And I think it's like he touches his wife and she turns to gold. So like there's also this kind of curse of everything you put your hand on turns to gold. And this Pisces can have a lot of like disappointed ambitions where like they've turned something to gold. They rushed into a project and put their gold energy in it and it like doesn't pop off the way they want it to, or like they lose a friendship or they turn their wife into gold. Probably not that one, but like the pop culture reference that's coming up for me too is from the Disney Pixar movie Soul.
Mm.
Spoiler, block your ears if you don't want to hear this, but our friend discovers, his magic of jazz music, and he finally gets to play with the singer who's going to give him the platform to do everything. And then after their first show, he's like, "What now?" And she hops in the taxi and says, "We do it again tomorrow." And he's like, "Bummer." It's like the high flying vision is so high
Yeah.
that when you finally manifest the thing that you want, you're like, this is it. And I felt this myself, like performing, became the professional dancer. And like the reality of that is I'm like shoved in the coat closet of a bar with my little makeup mirror, like sweating and trying to make my eyelashes stick. And I'm like, this is not glamorous.
Right. It's like, don't you know that I've got gold at the end of these fingers? Don't you know? Yeah, there's like a potential for everlasting disappointment, and that I resonate with greatly. And
Yeah.
then there's also, yeah, like if we were to take turning your loved ones into solid gold, there's also the capacity for giving too much and being like
Mm.
a love bomber and not realizing that the gold that you're giving isn't valued and appreciated as highly as you value and appreciate it. So you got to put them gloves
Yeah.
on. You got to figure out how and when in your magical manifestations to give it that extra little touch so that you don't go overboard and you don't exceed your own expectations and create environments where disappointment is more than likely what you're going to run into. As
Yeah.
well as like, um, yeah, going overboard with other people and letting that sort of gift that you have feel like a curse, which is, I think the other sort of the moral of the story with King Midas as well, which is like
Mm-hmm.
any gift can be a curse if you don't use it the right way. I mean, magical manifester sounds like nothing could go fucking wrong.
Hot.
And yet, you know, uh, there's always going to be something that you have to watch out for. And especially for a Pisces,
Mm-hmm.
we're water signs. We're very fluid. We're very giving. We're very loosey goosey with our energy sometimes, and we want to just be givers. We want to just kind of pour into other people, so to speak, and
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't always work out to our greatest good and our highest and best potential when we're not
Yeah.
like tempering that. So I think that's where we do get like our sort of fire sign crossover is, hey, I
Mm-hmm.
remember everything and I've done this all before, but that's why I have to be um, really judicious about how I spend my energy in this lifetime because I know I'm going to be a hot, fresh, ready soul in the very next book, in the second book of this series, in the 12th book of this series, in the 12th book of
Right.
this series, in
Ha
the,
ha ha.
yeah. And when we get to the 13th book, I'm going to start again and I'm going to have to, so like I need to preserve some of that magic. I need to carry some of that magic over into the next. I can't necessarily go and just blow my load in this lifetime and watch it be for naught. Watch people go, ugh, I didn't want that. And, not receive our gifts as gifts. We want to be able
Yeah.
to have people receive our gifts as blessings and not as curses.
Yeah, that like in between space of being at the end of the zodiac and the beginning of the zodiac, it like being both the fool and the world and sort of straddling that area is super weird and uncomfortable. And there's maybe an escapist energy there too that's like, well, I'm just gonna respawn, so uh um but the encouragement here for Pisces 3 is like to really try to see your visions through in this lifetime and know that if everything doesn't work out exactly how you want it, like there are more opportunities in other realms and dimensions, and like your energetic participation in this earth lifetime is what's going to help those visions come to life. Period.
Right. This isn't the end, but I figured out what matters. And I think that's
Yeah.
what Pisces overall, like the overall theme is like what really matters. And more often than not for Pisces, it's the preservation and um, the amplification of goodness and rightness and purity in the world.
Yeah. So sweet. That's it, y'all. That's the end and the beginning. So just start again at the beginning and
It's the
listen
end.
forever.
Right. It's the end beginning. So go ahead and try again. You're always welcome to.
Always. Yeah, thanks for listening. And of course, if we nailed your deacon, let us know. If you feel like we missed something or we misspoke about something, let us know. We're conflict. What's the word? The opposite of avoidant. I'm conflict neutral, honestly. Like, bring it to me.
Conflict accepting.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've been with us for 2 hours and 37 minutes now, so we'll wrap up. And Kellyanne, what you got coming up? I know you're in the middle of a move.
Yeah, same as last time. I mean, we are literally recording in the same week that we recorded our last archetype podcast. So I'm still in the midst of a move, but you can always head to Patreon for the Getting Unstuck series, which will exist in perpetuity. And it's a pay what you can, get everything environment. It's not like your usual Patreon where you can only get certain things, depending on what you pay. I have a client in there who's paying $20 a month and doesn't necessarily engage with all of the material, but I see her pop in to and comment on a few things, and she gets a free card reading from me of 1 hour like once a month or every other month, because I love that she's there and I want her to get exactly what she needs. So, yeah, join the space if you feel called to. And if you are looking forward to getting into some more witchy rituals, some more rituals,
Rituals.
rituals, so to speak, then I highly recommend joining now, because I would really love to see y'all's faces in the places where I'm creating all of the events that are to come in October, November, December. It's going to be great. We're going to get back to moon manifesting and manifesting on the new moon, which I think is a little unusual. Most people kind of gather on the full moon, but I like the new moon. I like that darkness. I like that shadow. So we're going to play with that.
Yeah. Kellyanne gets it. You can trust her with this manifesting. It is correct.
It is correct. It is right. Dead.
My Capricorn is showing. Thank you. Beautiful. Let's see. So by the time this releases, which is Lent, will already be underway in my world. So that's our Sober October challenge, but you can still join if you want to. And I am deep in uncovering the initiation of the Intuitive Brand Initiation Bundle. And it's 222 to get this bundle, and it's in partnership with the Metaboss Collective. And what comes with this is like insane and mind-blowing. And Nicolette has created this crazy social media obstacle course for us to run our way through, where we can actually like learn how to use the information she's bringing to us. And so as a mentor in the collective, I'm also bringing this brand initiation bundle to all of you for 222. You get 4 intro kits and your digital natal chart, which is like a really badass tool. And if you breeze through that and you make your way through the obstacle course on November 7th, you can join us for Instagram for Intuitives, where you get to create an intuitive astrological brand package. That's like everything you'd get from a digital marketing agency, but chosen by your intuition and your astrology. And a brand sales funnel that helps you understand how to walk people through, hey, I just met you. Here's what I do. Here's how I'm going to help. And here's how to join my community. It's super hot.
And here's my number.
So if you're fresh.
So call me maybe.
Yeah, call me maybe. So call me definitely. No.
Call me for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got going on. And if you're feeling ambitious, get your bundle, breeze through it, and join us for the intuitive rebrand. It'll be super fun. I'm excited. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Helly. What the helly? Yeah.
Helly Berry. Very good stuff, y'all. I love this.
That's the end.
I love the archetypes through the Decans. I love the Decans through archetypes. It's very...
super fun.
Very cool. Yeah. Love that we did this.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all, for joining us. We love you so much.
We do. And we'll catch you next time with a topic TBD. Okay, bye.